Several European countries have shut their borders to Britain due to concerns over a new, rapidly spreading coronavirus strain. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced on Saturday that the new virus strain had led to spiralling infection numbers. That prompted Belgium to announce that it was closing its borders to trains and planes coming from the UK, and the Netherlands to suspend flights. Italy says it's planning a similar ban, and a German health ministry official said restrictions would be imposed on flights from Britain and South Africa, which has also detected a new coronavirus strain. Austria is also reportedly planning to ban flights. Spain said, in light of the moves by other countries, it was asking the European Commission and European Council for a coordinated response. Otherwise, it would act unilaterally to defend its interests and citizens. On Saturday, Johnson imposed a new Tier 4 level of tougher restrictions on more than 16 million people in England and abruptly abandoned plans to allow 3 households to mix indoors over the festive period less than a week before Christmas. Immediately after the announcement, there was a dash to train stations and people tried to travel home before restrictions came into force. On Sunday, the city was eerily quiet. Places like Covent Garden, normally heaving with visitors and shoppers, left empty. Those who could be found in the streets of London, like Brad Nichols, expressed the view that it was the right decision, but that the government had left it too late.
Yeah, I'm pretty upset about it. I think the lack of planning and the lack of ability to tell people that this was going to happen in advance of when it did caused a lot of havoc and confusion.
Health Minister Matt Hancock said the decision to impose the restrictions had been taken speedily, and he condemned crowding at train stations as irresponsible. Australia's most populous city, Sydney, became further isolated from the rest of the country on Sunday, with every one of the country's states and territories imposing travel restrictions on Sydney residents. That's after an outbreak of coronavirus cases in the New South Wales capital broke a 2-week run of zero community transmission. 30 new cases were reported on Sunday, bringing the cluster infections to around 70. Around 250,000 people in Sydney's Northern Beach suburbs, where the outbreak occurred, have been put into a strict lockdown until Christmas Eve. At a time when many people will be planning to travel, the Australian Capital Territory sent a stern "do not come to us" message to Sydney and warned that residents would be quarantined for 14 days if they arrived. And this was the message from Victoria's Premier, Daniel Andrews.
I'm not going to wait around while they add to their rules. We are going to protect what we have built, and that is why the border will be closed from midnight tonight. There's an extra 24 hours for returning Victorians, but they will have to go into quarantine regardless. It'll simply be at home rather than in a hotel.
Both Victoria and Queensland have banned people from Sydney arriving as of Monday, prompting some to rush to Sydney's airports.
I'm inquiring, should I go today, should I go in a couple of days? And yeah, I just made the last minute decision to come today.
South Australia State imposed a 14-day quarantine for Sydney arrivals on Sunday and banned travellers from affected suburbs. Tasmania took a similar step on Saturday, while Western Australia State imposed a hard border closure.
India has reached 10 million reported infections of the new coronavirus on Saturday. It's much later than predicted as the pace of infection slows, despite many in the country giving up on masks and social distancing. India is the second worst affected country in the world. It hit a peak of nearly 98,000 daily reported cases in mid-September, but then daily infections slowed this month. This helped widen its gap with the world's worst hit country, the United States, which has more than 16 million cases. India expects to roll out vaccines soon and is considering emergency use requests for 3 types of vaccine developed by AstraZeneca, Pfizer, and local company Bharat Biotech. Some health experts say the fall in cases suggest many Indians may have already developed virus antibodies through natural infection. The National Capital Territory of Delhi said on Saturday its third and the worst surge in cases has now ended. A government-appointed panel tasked with making projections has estimated that 60% of India's 1.35 billion people have already been infected with the virus. At least 9 people were killed in a hospital fire in southeast Turkey on Saturday. Health Minister Fahrettin Koca said the blaze broke out in a private hospital's COVID-19 intensive care unit in the province of Gaziantep. The local governorship said in a statement that the fire was caused by the explosion of an oxygen ventilator. The mechanical breathing devices are used to blow air into lungs and have been crucial for severe cases of COVID-19. The prosecutor's office said 2 officials in the province have been commissioned to investigate the fire. Other patients receiving treatment were transferred to nearby hospitals.
A car bomb targeting an Afghan lawmaker killed at least 9 people in Kabul on Sunday, officials said. No one has yet claimed responsibility for the blast, which lawmaker Khan Mohammed Wardak was reported to have survived. But it comes amid a sharp rise in violence in recent weeks as the Afghan government and Taliban hold talks to find an end to the country's almost 20-year-long war. Interior Minister Masood Andarabi said Wardak had survived the blast, but was among 20, including women and children, who were injured. It's unclear if the bomb was in a vehicle parked along the lawmaker's route or driven by the bomber. Separate bombings were also reported on Sunday in several other provinces, in which civilians and members of the security forces were killed. On Friday, a suspected rickshaw bomb killed at least 15 civilians, including 11 children, in the central Ghazni province.
An ex-governor of the Mexican state of Jalisco was shot dead early on Friday in the bathroom of a restaurant in the beach resort of Puerto Vallarta. State officials said former governor Aristoteles Sandoval was shot in the back at around 1:40 a.m. local time by an unidentified assailant, while his security detail was outside the restaurant. The Attorney General said investigators believe 8 to 10 suspects were involved in the attack, but did not indicate who was responsible. But a federal official said authorities suspected the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG, to be involved. Sandoval's 2013-18 term as governor was marred by the rise of the CJNG, a drug gang that went from relative obscurity to become one of the most powerful in the country. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador offered his condolences and vowed to bring the perpetrators to justice. Mexico has suffered record homicide levels under López Obrador, in part owing to the CJNG's turf wars.
Shoppers in Tokyo can now sterilize their smartphones and wash their hands on the go. 20 machines developed by Wota have been set up near the popular Ginza shopping district. The machines don't need to be connected to running water and don't use fresh and wastewater tanks. Instead, they recycle the water through a 3-stage process. Wota's CEO Yosuke Maeda explains that they've shrunk a large water filtration plant to 100,000th of its original size and put it inside these machines. They also have a device that cleans smartphones through 20 to 30 seconds of ultraviolet light exposure while users are washing their hands. They say touching a dirty smartphone would otherwise negate their hand-washing efforts. The machine does need a connection to a power supply, however. Wota has now begun shipments within Japan of roughly 4,000 units. It aims to expand internationally next year, with many inquiries coming from the United States.